I'm at the spot where a couple of days ago when I filmed here, there was bulldozers and work people doing things, noisy things, and it doesn't look like they've done much apart from they've taken some boulders up, but they're preparing the ground. It's my childhood, because that was part of what is this little wood here where I used to play as a child. It's just sad, that's all. It's 8:15 on Saturday morning, and you know what that means. It means we're out bright and early because the bread sale starts at 8:30. So we're going to have a wander around the field and then head to the bread sale. It is very, very sunny. Apparently in the UK, in the next week or so, we are going to have really, really hot weather, like unseasonally hot weather. Yesterday for the Northern Hemisphere, it was the summer solstice. It was the longest day. So Mother Nature is celebrating the longest week by giving us some unseasonally hot weather. Anyway, to the topic of this video, and yet again it is one about Alyse Parker and the shock collar debacle that I've now made. This will be my third video on the topic of dogs and shock collars. And apologies to anybody who is not interested at all in this topic, but if you are watching this channel because you're interested in veganism or animals or animal rights, or you're interested in my views on these things, even if you're not vegan yourself, then this topic is squarely in my remit, I suppose, as a vegan channel, because veganism is not about food. Vegan is not a diet. Plant-based is a diet, and there's lots of ways you can do a plant-based diet, but veganism is not food. It doesn't equate to food. It's just that's just one. Oh, nice one. She's been in the water. Well, she's found a way to cool down. She's absolutely wet through. Oh, nice one. She's going back. That might mean I'm bathing her if she's particularly smelly. Oh well, shit happens. Veganism is not a diet. Food is just one aspect of veganism. What vegans want to do is to reduce as much as is practicable and possible to do so animal exploitation and suffering. So yes, that means not eating animals, but it also means doing the best we can for animals around us, the animals that share human lives, the animals that have been living for thousands of years in symbiotic relationships with humans, and that I particularly referring to dogs, but cats have chosen humans, I guess. Tilly's in the water again. Nice one. And where is Poppy? Poppy has gone right the way back up the hill. Poppy! I think she's forgotten where I've gone, and she's gone back the way she came to have a look. Oh my God. Oh, Tilly's going to get her. Tilly will go and get her. But I might as well just walk back this way. I was going to walk that way through to the football field, but I might as well just walk back this way and then go back into the village and go to the bread sale that way. Doesn't matter to me. She's an idiot. Anyway, this is a nice example of how to not train your dog. No, seriously, let's get to the point of the video seriously, right? I am covering this topic at some depth because I am a dog lover, and I find it incredibly upsetting when people who've acquired dogs, whether that's through buying one as a puppy or through getting one from adoption or whatever, it doesn't matter how the dog's been acquired, but they've got a dog and then they don't know how to look after it properly, right? And as I said in my last video, which I filmed here on Thursday afternoon, I didn't film at all yesterday because I was really busy. Oh, Poppy's here. Here she is. Hiya, Poppy. Tilly's telling her off for running away. Right, come on this way. Poppy, Poppy. I'll make sure she knows what direction we're going in. Come on, Poppy. Come on, Poppy. Good girl. Come on, good girl. That's it. Tilly's keeping her in line, so that's fine. Alyse Parker has, in her latest video, she has said, I'll play the clip.
I want to talk about e-collars because there were heaps and heaps of comments on my last vlog. Some people were a little bit shook at the fact that I had an e-collar on Psilo. I think there's maybe a little bit of a misunderstanding. Maybe some individuals don't really know exactly how they work, what the purpose of them is, and all of that. So I first got Psilo an e-collar when I first got Psilo, and I brought him to the most reputable training school that I could find in Colorado, which is where we used to live. In that training school, they showed me exactly how to use the e-collar to train Psilo, along with positive reinforcement. And I used it mostly when I was living in Colorado at my last house because there was this massive open space where dogs could be off of their leash in that area, and I used the e-collar on Psilo there to, just in those like one-off scenarios where if he wanted to run away, which he doesn't really because he's quite attached to me, in those situations and in training purposes, it can be really helpful. Yeah, I think there's maybe a bit of lack of understanding on how the e-collars work, but like I said, I learned exactly how to use it at the training school. Actually, before even getting the e-collar, they encouraged me to put it on my hand and actually test out the level so that I was aware of what it felt like for myself and that I wouldn't be hurting my animal at all.
So she said that she went to a dog training school and the advice of the training school was to use a shock collar. She doesn't explain what behaviours she felt Psilo was displaying that required a shock collar. She calls it an e-collar. It's an electronic shock collar. That's the full name. So don't be fooled that e-collar, which sounds quite innocuous, don't be fooled. That is the shock collar. That is very much illegal in all countries in Britain, right? So England, Scotland banned shock collars in 2010, and England followed suit last year. The English Kennel Club campaigned, the Charity Dogs Trust campaigned, the British Veterinary Association campaigned, and the majority of the British public who were surveyed as a part of a consultation by the UK government, well over 80% of those agreed that shock collars were cruel. So the majority of the English population and well-known canine and animal welfare groups do not agree that shock collars are helpful. They're cruel, they're barbaric, right? And it doesn't matter even if you're just giving a small shock, right? Right, it doesn't matter. That shock is still an electric shock that the dog doesn't know what's happening. It's around its neck. Imagine if you were just kind of wandering along in your everyday life and you just got an electric shock to your neck. Imagine what that would feel like, right? It's not the same as putting it on your hand and testing it. It's round your neck. It's horrible. And that's meant to shock a dog out of behaving in a certain way. Well, unless it's actually told what it's doing wrong, it's just going to become confused, it's going to become anxious, it's going to not know when the next shock's coming. It's akin to the Seligman's dogs experiment, which I have actually talked about on this channel. Poppy, I have a whole playlist dedicated to unethical psychology and animal experiments. Did you know that? Because very few people have actually watched it. I will leave a link to that very playlist in the cards. My dogs have run off again. Hey ho. Poppy! Wow. Tilly's... Here we are. Tilly! Right, going on the leads now. There we are. That's better. Finally, on the leads. Finally. We met someone whose little dog was pretty hyper. Tilly got a bit hyper, but Poppy just ran away. She just does her own thing. Those shock collars are illegal in the UK. They are very illegal. And she doesn't say what behaviours Psilo was displaying that required the use of this quite, I would say, extreme treatment. He looks very docile to me. He might be high energy, like Tilly, because he looks like he's a similar breed, although pretty much smaller. High energy, boisterous, takes life with exuberance. And yeah, some people can mistake that for aggression. Some people can find that type of behaviour annoying. But if you've researched the breed that you've bought, and I know Alyse got Psilo as a puppy from a breeder, hopefully she researched that the poodle mixes are exuberant dogs. They're bouncy dogs, and sometimes people can mistake that for aggression. Once you've got the dog, then you've got to do the best for it. And you can't say that every single dog of a certain breed is going to behave in a certain way, but you know, you can kind of go species dog, so it's going to behave like a dog, and then breed, and then individual differences. So within the breed, there are going to be individual differences. But because over several thousand years, dogs have been bred to form lots of shapes and sizes, but also lots of different kind of, you know, mental skills that they're good at, right? So there is some aspect of somebody who is acquiring a dog, doesn't matter whether it's from a breeder or from an adoption agency, that they choose an appropriate breed for them. That, you know, if they want a dog that's going to be exuberant, or if they want a dog that's going to run for miles by the side of a bike, then, you know, choose a breed that is well known for that. And you're not guaranteed that you're going to get the exact dog you want. And I think that's something that is really sad, that, you know, some people will buy a dog with some kind of expectation, and then that dog doesn't fall within their expectations, and then that dog suffers ultimately because maybe its behaviours are not conducive for it being a decent, you know, member of canine society. What's upset me most about this situation, though, is Drew Morgan's attitude. Now, some people, I haven't watched the whole live stream, but there was a couple of people who put a timestamp of around 28 minutes for a live stream that Drew did, where he answered a question before Alyse had released a video, and then he talked about his Rottweiler. Right, he's apparently got a Rottweiler. Again, I'll put the clip in here.
Her viewers freaked out on her the other day for using a e-collar on her dog, because the e-collar's in the video. The shot collar, otherwise known as. Oh, the internet, man. These young people who probably never owned a dog in their life have no idea how to handle a dog. I've got a 125-pound Rottweiler here, guys. Do you know how hard it is to handle a 125-pound Rottweiler? It doesn't matter how good your training is, your techniques, your positive reinforcement. This dog will break your arm off. Straight up. You have to be like a solid individual to even handle the dog. And that's just because he's being playful. The collar causes muscle cancer? Good lord. These people are so dumb. They have no idea how the shock collar even works. What up, Gung Fu? Just so that you guys know, I'm going to spread a 2-second lesson here on how to use an e-collar. You're not blasting the dog like as if you were shocking a criminal who's trying to mug you for your purse. That's not how it works. They're using a low-level electrical impulse that kind of like annoys them. Okay? And then it annoys them to the point where they stop doing what they're doing. Yes, there are times where you amp that signal up to get them to absolutely stop doing bad things. If they're jumping on people or if they're barking incessantly, you hit them with a high-level impulse and they stop doing it. It's like a 1-second piece of pain to teach them the lesson, and they usually will stop. It's a very quick, effective way to teach a dog something. And that's the way it works. Dogs work from positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement. You need both. I'd love to see all these whiners on the internet try and train my Rottweiler, who's an aggressive Rottweiler, by the way.
He's got an aggressive Rottweiler. and he says that, what is he saying? The only way he can control his Rottweiler is to shock it. And people who think that shock collars are wrong don't understand anything. I think you need to reconsider your position there, Drew. Because when entire nations ban a product, and when experts in both canine care and animal welfare, animal medical welfare, come out and say something's wrong, and when trained psychologists say that product is wrong, then I think you need to reconsider your position. And I think you need to consider why. This is the thing. People just see a behaviour in a dog and think that dog is a problem. Why don't you seek to understand why your dog is aggressive, right? Rottweilers are big dogs, yes. It's not like you can just pick it up and put it under your arm when it's barking. But why is that dog behaving in an aggressive manner, right? Seek to reduce the need for that dog to be aggressive rather than just shocking it into submission, because shocking a dog that's already aggressive, and actually aggression in a dog normally denotes fear. Same with people, right? The louder someone shouts, the more afraid they are inside, the more angry they appear, the more swear words they use to address people, the more abrasive they are, tends to denote insecurity, right, in people. And the barking and the growling in dogs usually denotes an aspect of fear. It's keep away from me, oh my God, keep away from me. So shocking a dog that's already feeling upset, annoyed, anxious, etc., it is absolutely the worst thing you can do. We are now at the bread sale, so I'm going to re-continue this conversation in a moment. I got a wholemeal, I got a tiger bread, and I got a white toasty loaf because that's what my son requested. You are responsible for your dog's behaviour, and if you have an aggressive dog, then you need to question the environment that that dog has been firstly raised in and is living in right here, right now. And you need to address the reasons why that dog is behaving in an aggressive manner, rather than just trying to shock it out of that behaviour, because all it seeks to do, even if it makes it submit in the present moment because it's afraid, what it actually does is it creates a cycle of violence, because the more that dog feels anxious and afraid and annoyed by the situation that it's in, and now it's got the added issue of it doesn't know when it's going to get shocked next. It doesn't know when one of these horrible shocks is going to happen. So it creates a longer term cycle of violence, and the more aggressive it becomes, the more you shock it, etc., etc. It does nothing to actually resolve that problematic behaviour. And Drew, why did you get a Rottweiler? Why a Rottweiler? Right, it's a big breed. They've been bred to guard. They are a guarding breed. Why did you acquire that particular dog? Why not? Right, if you can't cope with that dog, if you can't deal with that dog, right, instead of shocking it into submission, why not find it a home with someone that understands it? If you can't cope with it, it sounds like you don't know very much about canine behaviour, Drew. So therefore, perhaps you need to consider why you've got that dog, why you're keeping that dog in the first place. And yeah, that might sound like passing on a problem, and sadly a lot of people do that. They do pass on problem dogs, and those dogs end up maybe in pounds, and they end up being put to sleep. I am multitasking, yeah. This area needs unpacking. And as an advocate for animals, as someone who loves dogs, I feel compelled to respond to these situations. It's not going to become a canine behaviour channel, don't worry, but I expect more videos on this topic. Some vegans don't agree with companion animals, full stop, but the fact remains that there are many people who do have animals who don't know how to adequately look after those animals, and what it takes is people who do know, who do understand animals, to speak up for those animals, and that's exactly what I'm doing at the moment on this channel. Yeah, leave it with me and I will speak to you very, very soon. Laters, guys.